Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Coming to you live post first round of the playoffs. Very eventful weekend. We had playoffs, a great slate of NFL. We had, I think, 8 or 9 of the 14 fellas in town. Pushan did a punishment. Rag's birthday. Ish is a pussy. So much happened. And most importantly, fantasy playoffs happened. 3 matchups, only one of them was decent. I will get into them, but first, just one quick video of Pushan post punishment. Punishment in which it took him over a year to complete. He was very complainy this weekend, had a tummy ache, but he did nut up and do the challenge finally. Well done, Pushan. Well done. And we'll go live to him now. Not live.
Hey, post hey, fake Cumish. You crippled, sitting there and yapping out here, men like me, in negative weather outside, negative Fahrenheit. Still did it. Suck it.
Yes, well said, Pushan. Men like you getting it done in negative weather. It was like 30 degrees Fahrenheit at once. I don't know if Pushan knows how Fahrenheit works. It seems like he doesn't. But yeah, congrats. You ran a 5K in the cold. Not the most impressive thing ever. Even Rags ran a half marathon at this point, Pushan. I don't know. Flexing really weird shit. Took you an hour. It took you a year to grow the balls to run a 1 hour 5K. 20-minute miles is actually crazy. But you did it. And I'm happy you did it so we don't have to kick you out of the league. Brett, you're up. Punishment. Next punishment is Brett's beer mile. Very excited for that as well. Let's get into the matchups. I'm going to start by reviewing Scott on his bye week. All right, Scott, you needed the bye week, but you still showed up on the bye week. 135, good enough for the third highest scorer of the week behind me and Eshawn. And it all came on the back of Trevor Lawrence. A crazy game. It was against the Jets, but crazy game. Gotta feel like you wasted the T-Law game here. He's got Denver next week. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say he's not going to have 45 fantasy points against Denver's defense. But yeah, it was T-Law and it was the Ravens defense. So we'll see. I wouldn't have bet the Ravens defense would put up 20 against Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow looked like dog shit. And what else is up with Scott's team here? Woody Marks went out again. He goes out every game. I think he's fine. The concerning part is Adams in London. Scott, though, what you didn't want to see this week was Devontae Adams come up limp on a go route. Pulled his hammy. London's still nursing the knee. If those two play, he doesn't have a shot in hell against Pushan. If those two play, I think he'll be a decent favorite. But yeah, Achane gets Cincy next week, so maybe he's got a chance with just Achane, but we'll see. All in all, it was good to see your team played good, but potentially losing Devontae Adams might be the nail in the coffin of Scott's good season. I hope not, because I want him to beat Pushan next week, but we'll have to see. Speaking of Pushan, last year's loser has officially secured a top 4 spot in this season. What a great turnaround. I just chalk it up to a lucky draft, I guess. It's not like he knows what he's doing. But yeah, a very unconvincing win for Pushan here. He was the 4th out of 7 scorers this week. And it came down on Monday night to the Steelers' defense. Mikosi needed him to get 16. They got 9. Pretty decent showing from them, but just not decent enough. Pushan, I don't really know this team. Derrick Henry has been not good. Like, he had a good game. If he's just not finding the end zone, though, he has no PPR upside. It's just pure running the fucking rock. So if he doesn't get in, like, even if he gets 100 yards rushing, like, he's not getting any catches. He's just purely toting the rock. Bucky looked bad. But to be fair, the Bucs look bad in general, so maybe they'll bounce back. Same with A.J. Brown. He looked bad, but the Eagles get the commies next week, so can't be too upset there. I think Tyler Warren's upside has tanked now that Phil Rivers is playing. With all due respect to Phil Rivers, he still looks smart, but woof. That arm looked horrendous. It was still fun to watch him, but man, he did not look good. Yeah, so I would be a little concerned if I was Pushan, but not that concerned because he was handed Amon-Ra St. Brown. Fuck. Briggs' little meme trade is going to hand fucking Pushan Chakraborty the goddamn league, and it makes me so angry. Amon-Ra showed the fuck out. My only hope is next week, maybe the Lions get back to the run game. This was a pure air-it-out game. Amon-Ra and J-Mo both had a fuck ton of points. So maybe next week, Amon-Ra comes back down to earth. Like, even if he just scores 20, or even if he just scores 30, if he scores, like, fucking 32, Pushan still loses. It's just, golly. The rest of the team was bad this week. It was purely Amon-Ra. I also feel pretty validated with my Mahomes and Chris Olave takes. I said, why on earth would you be starting Dak and Juwan Jennings over Olave and Mahomes when they are QB2 and wide receiver 7. Granted, they each only outscored Dak and Juwan by 2 points, but still, in a matchup that's this close, those 4 extra points could have come down to it. I would assume next week he'll probably start Olave again. Tyler Shuck. I don't know. Shuck. I'm going to go Shuck. Tyler Shuck looks sneaky pretty good, and Olave is his top target by far. So, once again, feels very validating that I got that one spot on. And I would assume that maybe Olave sneaks in the lineup next week. I don't know. We're going to have to see. So, Pushan's moving on. A win's a win. 121's nothing to scoff at in a 14-man league, especially this late when we're dealing with injuries. But now we'll say our goodbyes to McCosey. Auto draft season took him to the 4 seed or the 5 seed. Took him to the playoffs with a good record. Just injuries banged him in the end. The second Dobbins went to the IR with Garrett Wilson, this team didn't really have a shot. It's just Monangai has looked okay and Hubbard has looked good in spots, but it's just when that's your running back room going against a team like Pushan or basically any of these other playoff teams, it just wasn't going to be enough. Nico looked great, but then the rest of the team just was okay. Like, he started all the correct things except for Goff had 5 more points than May, but that wouldn't have mattered. Yeah, it just came down to the running back. You're not going to win a playoff matchup when your running back room combines for 8. It's just not going to happen. Honestly, it's probably good McCosey lost because Kelsey and Rice with no Mahomes, their values are going to tank. Wilson, his value will tank when Marv comes back, assuming Marv comes back. And then he would basically just be a May and Nico Collins guy. So, a fun season for McCosey. Autodraft did him fantastically. Like, borderline, we have a couple people that should consider auto-drafting next season. But yeah, just if Briggs doesn't hand Pushan Amon-Ra, we're looking at a McCosey Scott semifinal. McCosey, please air all your grievances towards Pushan and Briggs, not me. That's on them for doing that, not on the commissioner. Even though Push calls me fake commish. But whatever. Pushan won, unfortunately. And as someone who's left in the playoffs, I will be rooting for Scott very heavily next week, just in case I somehow beat Ish. But yeah, let's get into the second matchup where Ishan played Clay. All right, matchup number 2. Ishan dominates Clay, finishes it off on Clay's birthday, which feels a little disrespectful. But Ish doesn't care. He's coming for that championship. Yeah, Ish 150, left a lot of points on the bench with Swift and Parkinson. And you survived a Gibbs 9-pointer. Like, I'm very scared of Ishan next round. This sucks. So So, yeah, his best player, Gibbs, only had 9. Like I said earlier, the Lions were airing the ball out, didn't really run the ball that much. But otherwise, his team played fantastically. Dart played good against the Commies. Well, he didn't play good. He had good fantasy stats. Otherwise, yuck. That kid cannot. I'm not one to talk because my quarterback's always hurt, but I think the stat was he's been in the blue tent for a concussion in half of the games he's played. He just throws his noggin at people. He needs to stop hanging out with Scatabo, and he needs to learn how to fucking slide, or Ish isn't going to have a quarterback next round. Yeah, it was a good night from Kenny Gainwell. I think Warren was sick, so Gainwell got most of the touches, got some PPR points, looked better than he should have. Ish continuing to start Gainwell over Swift feels crazy, but it has kind of been working out. Like, Swift's been outplaying him, but not by that much. And then Ish keeps getting fucking incredible showings from Cortland Sutton and J-Mo Williams. J-Mo Williams and Amon-Ra combined for like 70 points. The Lions were just slinging the rock. And then, God, if a bad JSN game is 18 points, 7 receptions for 113 yards, Ish is gonna get a lot more out of him soon too. Yeah, this team's just good. Good showing, 150. And he's moving on. The 2 seed moves on. And now we'll say goodbye to our good friend, Clay. The Bijan trade didn't make any difference. Bijan had 29.5. Hunter Henry had 2. And the 3 people you traded away combined for basically the exact same amount of points. So the Bijan trade ended up not making a lick of difference. Clay not starting Reed didn't make a lick of difference. He got destroyed. And then the big story was Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts on his bench with a 45 piece on Thursday Night Football. God, it doesn't matter because Clay lost by way more than 45, but can you imagine coming down to it and Clay loses by even just like 30, and he has just the best tight end fantasy football performance ever on his bench. That one game is going to get Kyle Pitts a lot of money. I promise you that. Kirko just blessed him. Kirko, the GOAT at getting paid, just showed Kyle Pitts how easy it is to get paid. Everybody who wants to sign or extend Kyle Pitts, he can just go in and be like, see me on Thursday night against the Bucks? You see what me and Kirko did? All-time bag getter shows Pitts how to get a bag. Well done. Unfortunately for Clay, his team let him down. Bijan had a good day. Lamar has not been super good in fantasy. He just hasn't been. He's been banged up, and then he has not been showing well. And then McCaffrey, who Clay rode all the way to this spot, put up 15. Somehow 73 yards and a touchdown is probably McCaffrey's worst game of the year. If not, it's got to be at least one of them. Clay has another season without a playoff win. He got fantasy overall number 1 at the 8th pick in McCaffrey, and he just can't. I don't know if he's ever won a playoff game. He's been in the playoffs a lot, but can't get it done. Sad. We got Ish moving on. Ish is the 3rd person in this Final Four who has lost the league before, joining Pushan and Scott in the Final Four. And I'm very concerned. If J-Mo and Sutton are going to play this well, Ish will not be losing. Because Gibbs is not going to score under 10 again, and JSN's going to find the end zone next game. So if he gets another J-Mo and Sutton game, Ish will win this championship, and that will be sad. And finally, fuck you, Kyle. Let's go. Woo! I destroyed Kyle Mashel. Let's fucking go. Oh my goodness. I pieced him up by a 75. I think this is maybe my highest scoring week in league history for me personally, not in the whole league. This is the only prediction I got wrong. I thought Kyle had a good chance of beating me this week, but this is the first time I've had my full squad together. They have not yet played together, and they showed out for me. Oh my God. I needed to see it. I didn't even have my best lineup in. I should have scored 190. I should have started Tracy. Tracy had 25, I think, and Devonta Smith and Genty both played bad. Those two are the holes in my roster. Genty, that Raiders offense is historically bad. I think they had 70 total yards of offense or something like that, and Genty was 35 of it. They're so bad. They're just horrendous. And then Devonta Smith, I think the thing was the Eagles played too well, so like he didn't even play like most of the second half. That was a little unfortunate, but I've been stashing the Eagles defense since like early November, specifically for the playoff run of Vegas, followed by the Commies. So I've kept double defense on my roster just for this week and next week. They got it done, 16 points. Myers wins a game. He won an entire NFL game by himself. 6 field goals, beats Phil Rivers, 18-16. And man, my team is just buzzing. Lamb and Chase didn't even find the end zone. Oh my goodness. They won. Once one of them scores, we're so back. Georgie looks horrible now, so Lamb is totally back. The Bills stack. What a beautiful comeback against fucking Drake May. If I get sent one more Bakemas shit from Kyle about Drake May's wife, oh, Jesus. I've had her blocked for a while. Kyle, no amount of Bakemas will allow you to beat me, you bum. It was the Cook game in New England. 3 touchdowns, 30 points, and 1 Kyle beatdown. Oh my goodness. I'm excited. Kyle, you're dead. You're gone. Adios. Kyle's first playoff appearance since 2022. That can't feel great. And his only his second time having a winning record. First winning record since 2021. I feel like Kyle used to be talked about up with the greats. He finished top 3 both of the first 2 seasons, and then he just fell off a cliff. Horrible 2 years, and then a decent year this year, and then a horrendous playoff showing where you can't even break 100 with Puka, with Josh Jacobs, with Joe Burrow. Come on now. You traded for Egbuka. You should have just kept Travion. Travion had a 30-piece. He had 2 50-plus yard touchdown runs. Not that it would have mattered because I still dog-walked you, but should have kept your boy. Just saying. Like, you can see that, man. Fuck you, Kyle. Yeah, Pittman with Phil Rivers. Like I said, Phil, he did not look good throwing that ball. He was fun to watch, not good throwing that ball. But yeah, not much else to say about Macia's team. Just, it was, realistically, he was never going to win if I put up this many points anyway, so he might as well just play bad. But Burrow was horrendous. Judkins horrendous. Pittman horrendous. Egbuka has looked bad for a long time. And somehow Kincaid didn't really get involved in that offense. Dawson Knox has been carving out a nice little spot. So yeah, going into next week, it's me versus Eshawn, the 2 highest scorers. Very concerned about Genty. He's going up against Houston next week, so that's scary. But just got only can do what you can do. Only can play who you have. So yeah, that is round 1. I obviously predicted Mace to win. It was maybe a little bit of a jinx attempt, but also I thought he had a really good chance of beating me. I did not expect my team to play that well. I got Ish over Clay, and I got Pushan over Makosi. Yeah, I'm excited. The next round of the playoffs has started. It's Eshawn Hate Week. I'm sure we won't hear anything from Pushan and Scott, so me and Ish will be essentially your full entertainment in the chat this week. Prediction video coming out soon. I will be spending an exorbitant amount of time on my fantasy app, especially since Eshawn got me fucking sick. Fuck you, Eshawn. I will battle through this, and I will kick your ass this week. Fuck!